You're probably alone right now. Maybe you're sitting in a room. Maybe you're lying on a bed, staring at a screen. There are walls around you, a door, electricity, a phone, and if something goes wrong, you can probably call someone in seconds. Pretty convenient. Now take all of that away. No walls, no locks, no phone, no emergency services, no one waiting for you. Just you and the world. How long do you think you last? Not emotionally, literally. Because humans are not built for solo survival. You don't have claws, fangs, or a natural weapon built for killing. In a sprint, you can't outrun most predators that would threaten you. When the sun goes down, your vision becomes almost useless compared to animals built for hunting in the dark. You don't have thick fur. You don't have natural armor. Honestly, if nature was trying to design an animal for surviving alone, humans would be a questionable attempt. And yet, we ended up changing the entire planet. So how? How did one of the physically most vulnerable animals on Earth become one of the most powerful? The answer is not hidden in your muscles. It's not in your teeth. And it's not simply having a bigger brain. The real answer is stranger. You're not strong enough to survive everything alone. Neither am I. Honestly, neither is almost anyone. But put enough of us together, and suddenly the problem changes. One person can get injured. Someone else can bring food. One person can miss something in the darkness. Someone else might see it. One person can forget. Someone else remembers. One person can have a terrible idea. A group can say, maybe don't do that. And sometimes that was enough to keep us alive. This is the hidden advantage that changed everything. Humans did not become powerful by becoming individually unbeatable. They became powerful by becoming extremely difficult to separate. Now imagine going back, way back, before cities, before farms, before roads, before hospitals, before you could order food because you were too tired to cook. Imagine waking up in a world where almost everything around you wants something from you. The cold wants your body heat. Hunger wants your food. Predators want your body. Disease can take your health, and the environment does not care whether you had a bad day. There is no emergency number, no pharmacy, no police, no locked door, no backup plan. Just you and the world. Now imagine getting injured. Not dramatically. You don't need to be attacked by a lion. You twist your ankle, you cut your hand, you get sick, you can't hunt, you can't travel, you can't keep up. And suddenly, a small problem becomes a very large problem. Because when you're alone, your problems stay yours. But in a group, someone can bring you food. Someone can help you move. Someone can watch for danger. Someone can stay awake while you sleep. And that changes the entire calculation. A group does not just give you more bodies. It gives you more chances, more eyes, more memories, more skills, more solutions. You don't know which plants are safe. Someone else remembers. You don't know where the water is. Someone else has been there. You don't know how to build a shelter. Someone else does. You don't need to know everything yourself. You just need to be connected to people who know different things. And suddenly, the group knows more than any individual inside it. That's a strange kind of power. Because most animals have to solve problems with the equipment they were born with. A beaver has its teeth. A wolf has its body. An eagle has its vision. Humans can borrow abilities from other humans. You don't have to be the strongest person in the group. You just need to know who is. You don't have to know everything. You just need to know who knows. And that changes the entire game. But there was a problem, a very big problem. You can't build a powerful group if everyone is constantly trying to take advantage of everyone else. Imagine a group where nobody shares, nobody helps, nobody keeps promises, nobody watches your back. Everyone just waits for somebody else to do the work. That group doesn't become powerful. It becomes an awkward meeting, and then it disappears. So humans had to solve a problem that is still following us today. Trust. And trust is strange. Because you don't just decide one morning, excellent, from today I trust everyone. No, your brain watches people. It remembers who helped you, who lied, who shared, who took more than they gave, who disappeared the moment things became difficult. You probably do this without realizing it. Someone says they'll call you. They don't. You remember? Someone helps you when you need it. You remember that too. Someone keeps making the same mistake. Eventually, you stop giving them important jobs. Your brain is constantly building a quiet database of other people. Reliable, unreliable, safe, dangerous, generous, selfish. You don't need to write any of this down. Your brain is already doing the paperwork. And this was incredibly useful in a small human group, because helping someone today could mean receiving help tomorrow. You share food. They help you later. You protect them. They protect you. You teach them something. Their children grow up knowing something they might never have learned otherwise. Slowly, cooperation stops being a random event. It becomes something people can depend on. And once people can depend on each other, something even stranger begins to happen. You don't just want the group to help you survive. You start wanting to belong to it. And this is where humans become psychologically complicated, because belonging feels good, but being rejected can feel ridiculously bad. Someone can ignore one message, and suddenly you're replaying the entire conversation in your head, like you're investigating a crime. What did I say? Was my tone weird? Why did they see it? Why did they not reply? You know you're not going to die. Your brain knows that, but some much older part of you reacts like something important has gone terribly wrong. And for most of human history, something important had gone terribly wrong. Being pushed out of the group was not just emotionally uncomfortable, it could be dangerous. The group was food. The group was warmth. The group was information. The group was protection. The group was other people watching the darkness while you slept. So your brain learned a very simple rule. Being accepted is good. Being rejected is dangerous. And that old system is still running inside you. You can be sitting safely in a modern room with food in the kitchen, a locked door, and a phone in your hand, and still feel something deep inside you change when you realize you don't belong somewhere. Because your brain is not only asking, do these people like me? Somewhere underneath that, it is asking, am I still part of the group? And once belonging became important, groups needed rules. Not necessarily written rules, just patterns. Who shares food? Who gets helped? Who speaks first? Who leads? Who protects? What happens when someone breaks the pattern? At first, these rules may have been simple, but the more often people repeated them, the more normal they became. And eventually, normal behavior became custom. Think about how much of your own life works this way. You shake someone's hand, you say hello, you wait your turn. You bring something when you're invited somewhere. You know when someone has crossed a line. Even if nobody ever sat you down and explained every rule, you just learned. That is what a group does. It teaches you how to behave without handing you a manual. And once enough people share those patterns, the group starts developing a personality, its own way of greeting, its own way of sharing, its own stories, its own expectations, its own idea of what is normal. And this is incredibly useful because customs make strangers more predictable. You may not know me, I may not know you, but if we both understand the same rules, cooperation becomes easier. You know what I expect, I know what you expect, and suddenly, we don't have to negotiate every single interaction from zero. Imagine having to explain every social interaction from the beginning. Hello, before we continue, I would like to establish the rules of sharing food, personal space, greetings, and acceptable behavior. Nobody would survive, so humans let customs do the work. You don't have to invent the rules every time. The group already carries them, but eventually another problem appears. Groups get bigger, and once a group becomes too large for everyone to know everyone else, personal trust starts to run out. You can trust people you know, but what about someone you've never met? How do you cooperate with a complete stranger? This is where one of the most powerful human inventions appears. Symbols. A symbol can be almost anything. A mark, a gesture, a word, an object, a story. Something small that carries a much bigger meaning. And suddenly, people don't need to personally know each other to share an identity. They can recognize the same symbol, follow the same custom, speak the same language, believe the same story. And that tiny piece of shared meaning can connect people who have never met. This is where human cooperation starts getting a little ridiculous. A small group becomes a larger group. A larger group becomes a tribe. A tribe becomes a settlement. Settlements become cities. And suddenly, people are cooperating with thousands, then millions of people they will never personally meet. Think about how strange that is. You can wake up in the morning, use a device built by strangers, eat food grown by strangers, travel on roads built by strangers, use electricity produced by strangers, and trust systems maintained by people whose names you will never know. You don't personally know most of the people making your life possible, but the system works because millions of strangers share enough rules, symbols, expectations, and beliefs to cooperate. And this is where humans stop being just a group of animals and start becoming something else. Because a group can do more than protect its members. It can remember, it can learn, it can pass information forward. One person discovers something, others copy it, someone improves it, someone teaches it. And the next generation doesn't have to start from the beginning. They start with everything the previous generation already learned. Then they add something. Then the next generation adds something else. And the process continues. You are not born knowing how to build a house. You're not born knowing how to make a computer. You're not born knowing how electricity works. You inherit knowledge. You copy. You improve. You teach. And eventually, a species born without armor learns to build protection. A species with no wings builds machines that can fly. A species that can't breathe underwater builds machines that can. A species with no natural weapons creates tools powerful enough to reshape entire landscapes. We don't just evolve biologically, we evolve socially. And social evolution can move much faster because information can spread through a population far faster than genetic change usually can. One person discovers something, others copy it, improve it, teach it, and suddenly the entire group becomes more capable. That is the part most people miss. Humans did not become powerful because every human became powerful. Humans became powerful because useful information could escape one brain and enter thousands of others. Your brain is limited, but culture has memory. Your body is limited, but cooperation multiplies what your body can do. Your lifetime is short, but a group can carry your discoveries long after you're gone. And maybe that's the strangest thing about being human. You are born physically helpless. You spend years depending on other people. You learn from people you never met. You use inventions created by people who died long before you were born. You speak a language invented by people whose names are completely forgotten. You live inside a world built by millions of minds, most of whom you will never know existed. And yet, their cooperation is still helping you survive. That is the hidden advantage. Humans were never the strongest animals. They were never the fastest. They were never the most dangerous in a one-on-one fight, but they discovered something much more powerful than being individually strong. They discovered how to become more powerful than any individual could ever be alone. One mind can think, several minds can coordinate, a group can remember, a culture can learn, and when enough minds begin sharing information, trusting one another, following common rules, and working toward the same goal, something new appears. Something more powerful than any individual inside it, civilization. So maybe the question is not, why did humans become so powerful? Maybe the better question is, how did a fragile animal with no claws, no natural armor, and no natural weapons learn to turn millions of weak individuals into something the planet itself had to adapt to? Because the greatest advantage humans ever discovered was not becoming stronger alone. It was discovering that they never had to be alone. You are not powerful because of everything you can do by yourself. You are powerful because, from the moment you were born, you entered a network of minds that had already been learning for thousands of years. You inherited their knowledge. You added your own. And someday, someone else may inherit that too. One person can be vulnerable, but a connected group can protect the vulnerable. One person can forget, but a culture can remember. One person can die, but what they learned can continue. That is the real human advantage. Not one strong human, not one perfect mind. Millions of limited minds, connected across time. And that is how a fragile animal with no natural weapons and no armor became powerful enough to reshape the planet. The greatest weapon humans ever created was not a weapon at all. It was the ability to take millions of fragile individuals with limited strength, limited memory, and limited time, and make them act as if they were one.